Hi guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Just Call Me Angie. My name is Angie and I'm really glad you're here. First and foremost, I'm really sorry guys, I didn't upload any videos last week. My phone fell last week Sunday on my birthday and cracked significantly in the front screen, including my front camera, which is what I usually use to shoot. So today I would like to share a couple of points, actually 8 points to be specific, about things not to say in an interview. My friends, sometimes you go for interviews and then you figure out halfway that they look at each other funny, they are not engaging with you as much, or they just don't call you. Not because you aren't qualified, but because, you know, some of the things you said in there, nobody been telling you, but yeah. Umekoki choma, my friend. Umekoki choma. I really like that saying. So let's talk about the 8 things you should not say in an interview. Point number 1, do not disclose things of a personal nature, especially if they're not related to the job. So for example, your marital status, if you're single, if you're married, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant, whether you're planning to have children, your childbearing plan, things like your religion, those are not things, unless they're pertinent to the job or to the organization, you should not be disclosing them, because it can result in unintentional bias or unintentional discrimination against you. So it's illegal, for example, to discriminate against pregnant women, but if you do share it, it might be an for the panelists. Of course, they will not tell you that that's not why they're hired, or that's not the reason why they're not hiring you, if you get what I'm saying. But that might end up being the case. So they might think, oh, okay, we don't want to invest so much in hiring somebody now who will be on maternity leave. All these very shallow thinking, things that could happen, but they will not tell you, but it could happen. Or if you share that you go to church on Saturdays because of your religion, and therefore they're like, okay, so this one can never step in on a Saturday. But I mean, that has nothing to do with your job, because maybe your job is just a Monday to Friday kind of role. But the fact that you have disclosed and given them information. Number 2, do not lie in an interview. My friends, lying is a sin. The Bible already said. Number 2 about lying is that you might forget the lie that you said, you know, and then contradict yourself later on, because you said you didn't do this, and then now later on you said you do this. Another thing about lying is the fact that you might overestimate how good a liar you are. Maybe the people around you in your own life know that you're lying, but they just let you get out with lying. And then here you come to the interview, and then una mess. In the interview, they might ask you to expound on something that you have lied that you know, or lied that you've had experience in, and then you mess it up. Or they could just get a bad feeling like, this person went to danganya, and then decide they're not going to take you on. Or they could fact find after the interview and then discover that you are lying, and then that's it for your job. So don't lie. Number 3, do not bring up or discuss or share your political, religious, or other polarizing viewpoints on different things. Okay, so talking about your political views about, you know, democratic versus liberal, or NAC, is it still NAC? Jubilee versus the other parties. What? NASA. It was reminded me, yeah, Jubilee, NASA, whoever and whoever. That's not the point, because these are usually very emotive topics, and it doesn't matter if somebody seems like they're egging you on inside the meeting. There's always somebody that you're rubbing the wrong way, somebody that you are offending in that room. So you don't want to step out of that place and people will be like, well, this person is not very professional. I mean, like, did you see how they brought up that topic, how they engaged on that topic without sensitivity about who is in the room? That's not what you want to do. Point number 4, you should not badmouth your previous employer, the previous workplace, your previous colleagues. Nothing bad about them, okay? Regardless of how you left, even though you were fired, whether mulikosana ukatoroka, whether they're doing an ethical thing, or your colleagues had bad breath, your supervisor was propositioning it, whatever it was, do not badmouth your previous employer for a number of reasons. 1, it's your perspective against the previous employer. It's only you having the opportunity to talk about your previous employer, and not even with them in the room to defend themselves. You know, just how somebody can come and tattletale on somebody else, you're just always like, let's wait for the other person to come and share, because, you know, this is one half of the truth. So, you know, the person who is interviewing you cannot be sure if that you're telling the truth, because, you know, it's just you bad-mouthing them when they're not. The second thing about bad-mouthing your employer is that you do not want your potential employer, so say for example I'm the one interviewing you, I don't want to imagine that at the point at which you're going to leave the organization, you're going to go and trash talk our organization to the next employer, to the next place you're going to go. Where is the loyalty? Where is the confidentiality? Where is discretion? So think about that. No matter how bad it was, and sometimes interviewers are going to goad you like, are you sure you just left because you wanted to leave? But the pay is good. But people usually rise up the ranks there. But you had really been promoted. Why did you really leave? Tell us. Just be open with us. Don't be open with them. It's a trick. Don't be open with them. This is not a place for buddy. Hold it in. It might be tempting, but this is not a time for you to have a therapy session with the interviewers. Please do not. Point number 5. Another thing not to do in an interview is just come in with over-prepared answers or cliche responses. So, what is one of your weakness? One of my weakness, it's like I am just a perfectionist. You know what you're not perfect at? Answering questions. What do you mean? Your weakness that you're perfectionist? As in, the number of times I've heard that response in an interview. Please, it's boring. And most people don't even know, like they can't expound. You say, okay, so what does that mean? I just like things to be perfect. Who doesn't like things to be perfect? Everyone wants things to be perfect. Everyone wants things to be perfect. I want my English to be perfect. But clearly, no. Yeah, so everyone wants things perfect. Don't give cliche answers, please. Another way to present that would be, I've gotten feedback from people that sometimes because I am really detail oriented, I want things to match up to standard, and so I can be very pedantic about certain details and really go hard on my team, even on things that, we could let slide so that we can be able to deliver on time. Sometimes I'm very, very finicky or very, don't do that, but you know what I mean, about certain details. But I've gotten that feedback and I'm working on it. So that's somebody who's perfectionist, but they're able to explain why they're perfectionists and what that looks like in situations that they've experienced. Okay, so don't give those kinds of cliche answers. Cliche answers about, okay, my weakness is time management. Explain, because please, it seems like you have a problem with time management. I can't hire you. So think through the answers you're giving. It's two sides of that. There's cliche answers which you cannot substantiate, or you're just saying them because that's the answer you're prepared. Or the other side is over cramming answers that you're going to give, and so you cannot deviate, or you can't think, or you cannot be on your toes in the interview. Point number 6 is don't be rude or so clever in your answers, please. Don't be rude or clever in your answers. And by clever, I mean smart mouth. Don't be smart mouth. Like, you ask you a question, please tell us about your experience in hotel management. It's in my CV. Yeah, we know it's in your CV because we have your CV in front of us. But can you expound? Just give us an overview. Because guys, remember, you haven't put everything in the CV. And sometimes it's not just about what the CV looks like, because we need to make sure that you have the qualifications and have the ability that you have said you do in your CV. So don't be rude and be clever saying it's in my CV. Somebody even ever said, if you had read my CV, then excuse. Unataka kazi ama hutaki kazi? Would you write a job or you'd write not a job? You get what I'm saying? Stop being smart mouth. This is not the time for you to test your wit, test your, how people can react. This is not a meme generation session. This is a time for you to prove and demonstrate that you're professional, that you're courteous, that you are kind, and that you are excellent in answering questions. Thank you. Point number 7. Another thing not to say, it's related to point number 6, but this one is distinct, so I want you just to have it by itself. Do not say, when you're asked a question like, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? I will have your job. I see myself in your chair. I see myself in your role. My friend, you're feeding into the insecurities of the poll 1 in the panel. Number 2, that just is a bit cocky. That's a bit cocky. It's also a bit on the, I don't know, but just, as I say it, does it sound wrong to you? Does it? I hope it does. Because sometimes, I mean, like, that's to assume this person, let's just say you're trying, we're going to get you fired. Like, my coming to the organization is going to ensure that you're going to exit. You know, one, about the insecurity, I've said that, but the other thing is that certain people will reinvent themselves. Another thing, one thing you can say instead of that, let's say those members of the senior management, you know, instead of telling them that you're going to be in their position, like, throw them out or replace them, you could say, I see myself as being part of the management team. So maybe right now they only have 4 people. Maybe once you get there, they're going to add a 5th position. So that's an option that could happen without you necessarily saying, I'm coming for your job, and you haven't even gotten the job. My last point number 8, is do not say, I don't have any questions, please. You have been preparing for this interview, and we talked about in a previous video that you need to do research and you need to be able to ask relevant questions. So prepare questions from before, even if it's something as simple as, what are the next steps after this interview? Should I wait for 2 weeks? Are you interviewing many more people? Tell me about the department, different things. Ask a question or 2. Don't ask 10, or that's another thing. Don't ask 10 questions. Ask 1 or 2 questions and let them be thought through questions, not just general things like, or don't even ask. Another thing, can I give you a bonus tip number 9 of things not to ask in an interview, or things not to say in an interview? What do you do here? Okay guys, I hope those have been helpful tips for your next interview. Please prepare well. And yeah, let's not get you failing and causing people to have cringes and to have stories to tell about this person we interviewed today. Aki hakukwa me prepare. Aki, he was not so bright. Aki, his papers were wow, but unge meet, unge sema no atawewe. We don't want that to be you. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to know when I drop other videos, hit the notification bell. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you can, please share it with your friends, with your family. You can do that on the WhatsApp. You can do it on a Twitter. You can do it on a Instagram. You can even do it on a YouTube. Even anywhere where people are gathering, you can even say, guys, instead of us gathering here, being bored, watching the news, we can even watch a video on a Haitian video. Thanks guys so much for tolerating my crazy. Bye.